after we're done. Here's a block of coal. Coal's very unique. It is layered. You see all the little layers on it? It's layered. It's all the vegetation. Okay, tree trunk, parts, bark, leaves, all this kind of stuff, and it makes all this coal. Now, the difference between the creationist and the evolutionist is almost 180 degrees on this. The evolutionist says that coal was formed in swamps. It's the swamp model, is what they call it. And they said that all these swamps would drip all this junk down, you know, and it would form at the bottom, and then a big ocean would come over, and it would cause all kinds of debris to fall down on top of this, all these pieces of bark and junk. And then the ocean would go away, and then it would come back again. And each time it went away, more swamp forests came up. And you got the picture? So they said it took 1,000 years to make 1 inch of coal. Okay, 1,000 years for 1 inch of coal at the rate that a swamp forest would even lay down enough debris to cause anything to turn into coal. Okay, as a footnote, we can make coal in the laboratory now in hours. Hours. It doesn't take long to make coal. It does not take millions and millions of years to make coal. This is Nova Scotia, and you're looking at a peat. You're looking at a bunch of peat, and this isn't peat. This is peat. Because the evolutionist says that peat is first formed, and then a volcano comes and buries this, and over thousands and millions of years, under high pressure and temperature, it becomes coal. Well, look at the difference now. This is peat, and you'll see it down here. Look at the peat down here that I have you compare against. The peat up here looks like coffee grounds. It's homogeneous. It's all mixed up. And something else that you see in this peat, what are these? Roots. Did you know there are no roots in coal? Well, now, if this is eventually going to become coal, why don't we see roots in coal? Because something grew on top of the peat while it was waiting to become coal before another volcano blew up in 1 million years and buried everything again. The floating mat theory, that as the logs and everything bumped together, all the vegetation cleaned off, a formed layer of peat. Then, of course, another surge with hundreds of trillions of tons of sediment pours over, buries that peat, and then you have more trees dumped in, and more peat made, and more sediment coming down. And that is basically, in a nutshell, what we're saying the flood did. And again, it had to be a flood. It had to be something huge, not something small. So now looking back at Mount St. Helens and looking at Spirit Lake, all the logs. Okay, there were over 1 million logs dumped into that lake right after the first explosion of May 18th. In 10 years, half the logs had already fallen out, soaked and fallen out. Okay, Steve and Austin, one of these two poor guys, are going back down again, and they're going to look at this. And on the bottom of the lake is the date on this escapes me. I don't think they ever told me what the date was. There's a 3-foot layer of peat. 3 feet of peat. Now, if this peat becomes buried by another volcanic explosion, by 300 feet of ash and debris, that will now have enough pressure and the temperature to make coal. And we have shown in the laboratory that you don't need millions of years, you just need the right situation to be occurring. So again, Mount St. Helens has blown away the need for millions and billions of years for what we see. Nita